Good morning. It's Monday, March 30th. I'm Karen Hamstra coming to you from my loft at home. And I have just 3 books I want to mention to you today. My confession for the week is I have not finished a single book since we spoke last week. You're probably thinking, what in the world has she been doing? Well, we've been working from home some, and we play usually a board game every day, and we work crossword puzzles, and like I say, I do library work at home, and I'm working on taking some continuing education classes for various things. And it's just keeping me kind of busy. There's a lot to do. Anyway, this is the book I've almost finished. I'm within 20 pages of finishing Laura Child's new book, The Lavender Blue Murder. This is an Indigo Tea Room book, and it features Theodosia Browning. I might have already told you about the book, but now I can speak from firsthand experience to tell you that it's a really fun book. Theodosia runs this tea room, and she has a sommelier named Drayton who helps her investigate various crimes, and the murder occurs right at the very beginning of the book. They go on a hunt, or Theodosia does, and the host is shot, and she finds him. And it goes from there. There's a whole bunch of suspects, people who could have done it, almost everyone who was at the hunt, and some people who weren't. And we've now eliminated most of them, and I have my ideas about who the culprit may have been, but I'm certainly not for sure. I'm probably wrong, in fact. So, the Indigo Tea Room book series is a lot of fun. Laura Childs does write some other series, which I don't bother reading, but they are perfectly worthwhile for you to spend your time on. And I am sure that her books would be available on Overdrive if you want to check one out or get in line for one. The next book I'm reading, I'm about a fourth to a third of the way through it, is Beth Moore's new book called Chasing Vines. Finding Your Way to an Immensely Fruitful Life. It is at 248.4 MOO. Beth Moore has recently spent some time in Italy amongst the grapevines, and that set her to thinking. And the blurb is, man or woman, adult or child, religious or irreligious, rich or poor, black, white, brown, such a longing is sewn in permanent thread within the fabric of every human soul, and that is the yearning to matter is no respecter of persons. And the great relief is finding out that hope is not deferred. You do matter. And she goes through a bunch of chapters related to raising grapes, and it's just really pretty fascinating. It says most of us have times when, if we're honest, it feels like we're going through a whole lot of pain and striving without much to show for it, like our daily pursuits don't really matter in the long run. It says at times like that, we can't help wondering if we matter at all in this world or to God. In Chasing Vines, Beth Moore gives us fresh hope, revealing the abundant secrets of a fruitful, God-delighting life. And she goes through all the images of vines and growing them. So, Chasing Vines. And then last night, I just began this book by Deanna Raybourn. This is her first novel, Silent in the Grave. It is the first in the Lady Julia Gray series. Now, I have read her later series, which is the Victoria Speedwell, and there's a brand new book out in that series, which I also have at home. And I will confess that the very last afternoon we were open, I went out and grabbed all the Lady Julia Gray books that were on the shelf, figuring I needed some kind of stash to read. In this first book, Lady Julia's husband dies in the midst of a dinner party, and he's only like 30 years old. And she thinks he has died as a result of heart problems that run in his family. But according to the book blurb later on, it's revealed to her that he was murdered. And this is where she first meets Nicholas Brisbane, and he investigates the death. And I kind of think that they form a duo and go about investigating various things in the later books. Anyway, I can tell you that this is very difficult to put down. I read a whole bunch of pages last night before I went to bed, and I could have actually finished the Laura Childs book in the amount of pages I ended up reading in this one before I could put it down. And I am sure that these Deanna Rayburn books must be available on Overdrive and probably in some form or another, some of them on Hoopla. So I would highly recommend them. So in the meantime, I hope you stay busy, read, keep your minds active, keep your bodies active, and I will talk to you next week. Take care.